What's up, Defions? It's Don from Defion Productions and Troy here on this fine Monday morning, December 18th, 2023. It is official now. I thought about it this morning. It's official. I've been in Bitcoin for over 10 years because today's HODL day. Why does that have significance? For those of you that are unsure, there was a post that was put on a Bitcoin forum on Reddit 10 years ago, December 18th, 2013, where a inebriated gentleman was putting a post up in regards to being a terrible trader of Bitcoin, thinking that he missed it, and talking about how he was not good at holding, and the price at the time was getting very volatile. It was it was the first cycle, obviously, that I was in. The price had peaked at that time at 1,100 before retracing back to 199 about a year later. The first real cycle that I experienced, and this was right around the time that it was making those moves in December. And he was drunk off whiskey, and he misspelled hold. HOLD, he spelled it HODL, and then he made a follow-up post saying, yes, I know I spelled it wrong. I was about 8 glasses of whiskey in, and went on this big long rant about, how he was a bad trader of Bitcoin, and then the HODL meme was born from that. So, I got this. I bought this hoodie. This is about 7 years old,
Wow.
maybe 8. I've got it in either 2015 or 2016. It was the very first non-Bitcoin that I bought that was related to Bitcoin was this. Instead of buying Satoshis, I bought this hoodie. I did not use Satoshis to buy it. I bought it with USD. But yeah, so today's HODL day. It's a big deal for Bitcoiners. And for me personally, being in this space for over 10 years now, because I remember Twitter talking about this at the time in real time. So I've passed my 10 years in the game. I'm a grizzled veteran in this Bitcoin ecosystem, here to educate and help onboard as many noobs as we possibly can.
Yeah, so HODL, for those who don't know, hold on for dear life, especially in today's market conditions. We're going to dive right into the charts. It's definitely a great time to HODL. Bitcoin sitting at 41,416. We're looking at the daily chart. So, we have a little bit of a downward pressure on the price action, but this is healthy, this is normal, this is what we want to see. Going into the new year, I hope we finish strong, but I don't make the decisions. Ethereum 2160, looks like Ethereum's taking a little bit more of a beating, sitting at 2160, again about 6-7% from the yearly high. And then we'll go right into the total 3. So this is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, sitting at $446 billion. So I like to look at this chart. I know you like the Bitcoin chart more, or you don't even look at charts. You just buy and HODL.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look, but
yeah.
This
is good because we broke out of this, what was this, since June 2022. We've been consolidating within this range, and we finally starting to break above it. And now we're actually testing this yearly high as a support. So, hopefully this is the beginning parts of the altcoin season. I'm heavily invested in altcoins, shitcoins, Don would like to say. But again, I'm using them to buy more Satoshis. So another thing I want to mention is the S&P 500. We haven't really looked at that. So let's take a look at the major indices.
Yeah, equities have been on a tear.
Yeah.
As of recent.
Yeah, it looks like S&P 500's looking to break out of its all-time high of 4,803. So equities can start ramping up before, I think, elections.
I mean, the announcement from Powell last week or the week before that they're done with their rate hikes, and that we're probably going to be actually cutting rates in 2024 at some point was very bullish for the market. And I think that we're seeing that play out in equities. So yeah.
Let's take a look at our favorite altcoins. I'm going to stick with Injective because I talked about this last week, and I think this wasn't like under.
Tweeted about it too, I believe.
I tweeted about it, and this is ripping, bro. This is at 33.42.
That's the Mark Cuban one?
This is the one where Mark Cuban was talking about this.
Altcoin Daily tweeted about it last night too.
Yeah. So this is something I'm keeping my eye on. It's trading at 33.42. And then the coins in the ecosystem, I like to keep an eye on. Right now, I don't know if you guys heard of Bonk. Bonk is going absolutely nuts. This is a meme coin on the Solana blockchain, and it's just a community-driven, like a Dogecoin for the Ethereum network, but it's for the Solana network. So, once meme coins, and I actually did some charts 2 days ago, and I was like, okay, when did Dogecoin start ripping last bull run? And it was in the beginning parts of the bull run. You'll see like things will start to get a little frothy, and meme coins will start being created and start ripping. And that's like playing out similar to what's going on in this bull run.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the phone, the Solana phone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
you probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah, so the Solana phone came out with a Saga mobile, and it's basically an Android, but it's a built-in hardware wallet. For every buyer, everyone who purchases, I think the phone was like $600.
$600, yeah.
But everyone got 30 million bonk just for, and this was when bonk which was valued at $10 at the time, right?
Yeah.
So if you bought this phone last year, pre-ordered it, and you got this phone, you actually made money from the bonk because now that bonk's up 11,000%.
I guess people are selling it second market for $2,400 the phone.
I think this is a great way to actually onboard. Like, this was a brilliant marketing. Like, I'm sure like they didn't know bonk was gonna go as crazy as it did, but this is great onboarding for like people that into like that mobile. Because I think like everything I do is on like my computer, but I think once we have mainstream using mobile crypto, like mobile gaming, mobile stuff like that, like I think mobile finance, I think that's where we're headed. But I think it's really cool that they're able to do that. And then everyone who bought the phone are going to be like emotionally attached, I feel like, to that bonk. So I think bonk's just getting started. If you don't want to buy bonk, and this isn't financial advice, none of this is financial advice, but Solana would be a great thing to keep an eye on. But yeah, bonks. And then you can go into these other ecosystem tokens like Injective, Cosmos, and then there's meme coins within those ecosystems. But you want to, all the opportunities really on chain. Like, if you were buying bonk, you weren't able to buy that on an exchange. They recently just got listed on Binance and Coinbase and stuff. So
is it listed on Coinbase now?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. You can't buy it in New York, though, because, New York sucks.
New York's terrible.
Awesome.
Yeah. Real quick, while we're on the charts, I just want to read a tweet that I interacted with today, this morning, actually. Ben Armstrong, the content creator formerly known as BitBoy, tweeted, "There's basically a 0% chance we get a major sustained downward move until the ETF news cycle is complete. Following approvals, the only exceptions, number one being the Black Swan event or a Black Swan event. Number two, ETF rejection fears return. Anyone trying to argue the chart shows bear action is low IQ." So I responded on X with, I think the correction, and I shared this with you already, I think last week on the podcast too. I think the correction comes after the money flow, in my honest opinion. Big candle on official approval, sideways for a bit, announcements of money flow in, which coincides probably close to the halvening event. Then shortly after that dies down, the normal correction we see right around the halvening, but that's my opinion. So, some of the big influencers like, Ben Armstrong and others are really riding the train that we're not going to see any sort of major downward moves until we get the official approval of the ETFs, and I tend to agree with that. And we talked about it last week too. I just don't see a world, unless the only way I see it is if we end up seeing either a flat-out denial, which I don't think we'll see, or a postponement until March. If somebody gets an inside information on that, then maybe you see price action. And I think if you see, let's say end of December after Christmas, right before the new year, you start seeing like a dump, then somebody knows something that they're going to get, that the ETF is going to get delayed.
That's exactly what you said on the space too, because remember we had our scenarios on what we think is going to happen, and you said like we're going to have like a post halving dump, which happens pretty much every cycle. But either way, like we're coming into 2024, like I'm super excited for 2024. Like time flies, so like I'm well positioned, like my bags are loaded, like I'm sitting comfortable to the point where I don't need to buy more. Like I have another little bit of fiat I want to deploy, but it's got to be on a really bad red day, because like right now it's like we have like a 5% drawdown, which is great, but like I need to see like a 20% correction for me to actually be excited to deploy this. But no, I'm comfortable with where I'm at. And I want to show people this thread. It's by Luke Broyles, and we both follow him. He's a great follow. But
Agreed.
and you probably know what chart I'm looking at, but it says Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. Feedback loops never slow, only accelerate. Rude awakening incoming. And if you look at this chart, like Bitcoin is astronomically like that, like the 2021, 2022 bull market looks flat on this chart. That's how fast it's accelerating. And it looks like this currency is in Argentina, Argentine pesos. So like this is absolutely insane, bro. Like, you think it's like these weaker currencies are like they're going to zero first?
Everything. The thing is like the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency, so it's the strongest of all the shitty currencies, right? So that will erode the slowest, and that's eroding to us because that's our money is eroding quickly. So as quickly as we see the USD eroding, there's all these other baskets of currencies that are eroding much quicker. Even the euro, even the sterling, like those are even eroding faster at a faster. Like the UK has had higher inflation than we've had. So these other currencies are eroding quicker. And then when you get down the food chain, like lower down the food chain of these other currencies, you're seeing like 3-digit percent inflation for the year, like Argentina having like 184% inflation per year.
Insane.
And some of these other like lower countries, their money is just eroding.
Yeah.
So there's a scale. Like if you looked at the basket of currencies of however many currencies there are, you'll see each one eroding at a different rate to Bitcoin. And they're all trending in the opposite direction, just at different speeds. So because the United States dollar is the strongest of all the shitty currencies, it's eroding at the slowest, but it's still eroding. So Bitcoin's going in this direction, the dollar's going in the other direction, just at a much slower pace. That's why we've talked about prior, Argentine peso being one of them, but the Turkish, I forget what the name of their currency is. They're all at all-time highs with priced against Bitcoin. And it's like, well, how could that be if the USD value isn't at an all-time high? It's like because you're looking at only one currency. You're looking at the strongest of all the currencies. So the strongest currency price hasn't reflected it yet. But if you look at all these other currencies, like it just tells you that the real value, like the true value of Bitcoin is not 41,000. The true value of Bitcoin is actually astronomically higher. We just haven't seen the market adapt and react to that yet.
Yeah.
So that's basically what that means.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. It's just a matter of time before Bitcoin starts breaking all-time high. I'm so excited. I think honestly, like I said, like November 9th, I think is when Bitcoin breaks its all-time high. But I want to look at this chart too. And this guy actually...
Is that Plan B?
Yeah.
Oh, is that my buddy, Plan B?
Yeah.
That's
And then
my
you
boy?
can give a little background about Plan B. So basically this guy is is he the creator of the stock flow chart?
He's the one that made the Bitcoin stock to flow chart. Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically says, and I look at a lot of his models and stuff, but this is a Bitcoin market cycle model. And Bitcoin is on track, and we're in the pre-bull stage, right? So we've been building in the bear market. We've been here since right after FTX. We've been here since 15,000, building, creating content. So we're not these grifters that only come when there's a bull market. Like we're here and for it all.
We have videos being excited at 15,000. You can look on our YouTube and you can see us being excited at 15K when nobody else was excited.
No.
Not even these content, like a lot of these content creators that you see now, they got these big accounts, dude, they were kind of quiet.
Yeah.
They were kind of quiet.
Don't you notice like the sentiment on Twitter? Like everyone's active. Like not back, but wait till we start going 150K Bitcoin. My feed is going to be so congested. That's why I made that video about like, once you hit a certain percentage, just walk away from Twitter. Not forever. Go touch some grass and relax for a second. You made your money.
Another thing I want to talk about in regard to X, like I fell victim to this early on in my social media days, especially being like a get off my lawn boomer at 45 years old. I made the mistake of giving a lot of credit or a lot of of my viewing time to these bigger accounts because it's like, oh, if this guy has 100,000 or more followers, then he must know everything. Yeah. He must have like the alpha. The
smaller accounts.
This must be the guy that knows everything that I need to follow. And it's like, I learned this a long time ago, and it's just playing itself out again, this cycle. Some of these big accounts that have huge followers, they don't know what they're talking about. Like they're literally, they'll engagement farm and they're just not giving you great. Their information is so bland and dry and it's like you're not really gaining anything off of it, and it's just the fact that you see that they have 500,000 followers, and the fact that they like show pictures of like maybe their wealth because they got in super early and they held and you know what I mean, and they have a lot of wealth that you just assume that they know what they're talking about, and the stuff that they say just doesn't have a lot of value. I've been finding the most value in these spaces, like when I and I know that you're doing the same thing as we talk about it. Like I'll go in these spaces, the Alchemist space or like Gary Cardone space, the ones that I go in the most, and I'll click on the file or the profiles of people just to kind of see like what their profile says or how many followers they have, and like then you're hearing them speak, and when they speak, it's like, dude, this dude knows what he's talking about, and they might have like 7,000 followers or like 5,000 followers or like 15,000 followers.
The best accounts are under 20,000 followers.
Yeah, and just don't be caught up in the mirage of these large followings. Now you're going to have some accounts that have the large following that do know what they're talking about.
But they're most likely doxxed. It seems like the accounts that have the large followings are like the ones that are hiding behind a gladiator with a fake name that they don't care about the reputation. They're just in there to make money and get you to buy their program or whatever. But that's what I've seen, you know.
I defended and I'll continue to defend. He got a lot of shit this last cycle. And I'm not gonna necessarily here. Let me back up. Let me slow down because I don't want to get ahead of my thoughts. Anthony Pompliano, okay. He is polarizing in Bitcoin now. Last cycle, he did a podcast, and on his podcast, he had his brothers on, and it was pretty Bitcoin focused, but he dove down the shitcoin rabbit hole. He was getting sponsored by, I believe he had a sponsor by Crypto.com. Potential, I don't know for sure. I might be messing this up. I think there's some sort of like maybe referral link to FTX might have been involved, but he definitely had a lot of like sponsors that were like shitcoinish. Mm-hmm. But again, like when you're running a podcast and you're getting it out in mass, like it helps to have income coming in order to continue to produce content. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just part of the game. Mm-hmm. And like that's what he did. Like he took sponsors, like sponsorships. Like a lot of people are doing that, but he was very Bitcoin centric coming into last cycle. Like that's all he was, a straight up maxi. And he like dove into some of these other things and talked about some of these other things, but he ended the cycle as a maxi again. And he's a maxi. Yeah, I would say he's a maxi now. But a lot of people are like, they shit on Pompliano and they think he's a grifter and they think he's like, whatever you want to say, like a imposter in the space. And again, as somebody that's been in this ecosystem for 10 years, he gets a pass from somebody like me because I remember I'm a long time CNBC watcher. Like again, that's TradFi. There's a lot of like gimmickry on that. But there's a couple really good like Brian Kelly, who just popped up again. I was so happy to see him on CNBC, popped up this past week. I seen him talking about Bitcoin. In 2014 and 2015, they have the show at 5:00 p.m., the Fast Money, and they have all these traders talking about the trades that they do. Brian Kelly was like a staple on that show from like 2012 until maybe like 2016 or 2017, and every single week, only dude on the entire channel that talked about Bitcoin. Yeah, he literally orange pilled some of the other traders, and they actually started getting exposure to it. Pompliano would come on to CNBC in 2015 and 2016 and talk about Bitcoin. The only like outsider that came on there outside of Brian Kelly on CNBC that would talk, you had Brian Kelly and you had Anthony Pompliano. If you watch CNBC, the only time in 2014, 15, or 16 that you would hear Bitcoin being spoken was those two guys. And they were instrumental, I believe so, in seeing the Bitcoin ticker in 2017 being on the screen, added along with the Dow and all the other indices. Like that happened in 2017, and I think Brian Kelly and Pompliano were instrumental in that. So Pop's been here for a minute. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like Pop knows Bitcoin. Pop understands Bitcoin. He fell victim, like many do, to the running a business, and he needed to do whatever he felt he needed to do. And I'm not giving him a pass for that point. And I think he understands, and he's talked about that was a mistake. And he ended the podcast because it ended up being too much for him. And he made a video saying that this is like in a roundabout way, I'm paraphrasing, but like this has gotten to be like too much. I'm just going to create content at will, not like on a weekly schedule. Or like it's difficult. Like we do this every single week. There's a lot that goes into like planning all this. And like we don't have a big platform and sponsors and like responsibilities of like staff to pay and stuff like that. So you get that. So I say all that to get back to a place like he's got a big following. He's got 500, 600,000 followers, and he's a Bitcoiner. So like when he talks about Bitcoin, he knows what he's talking about. He's read the white paper. He's been here for a long time. So that type of guy, when he talks about Bitcoin, you want to listen to it. Another one that I fundamentally, and I've actually recently interacted with him. When I put our video up in the summer, I talked about the 5 Bitcoiners that influenced me the most. I tagged him in it and he responded. That's the type of dude he is. Like I think he's genuinely a good dude, but he was one of the key players in 2017 in the block size wars of why Bitcoin had that fork into Bitcoin Cash and BSV, Roger Ver. Roger Ver, ideologically, I do not agree with him on how he feels about Bitcoin today and what he thinks Bitcoin Cash is, which I don't think. So I ideologically disagree with him today. But what I will not do is discount the stuff that he did when I first came in, 13, 14, 15, 16, in my old Twitter account that I had numerous interactions with him. Like he was a larger account at the time, and you could tweet at him and have conversations before Spaces, and he would engage with you. And he would educate you. And dude knows Bitcoin, dude knows the white paper. He just has a different philosophy where he feels peer-to-peer is where it needs to be instead of store of value. He's not down with the store of value. He's down with the peer-to-peer, which I ideologically disagree with, but he knows Bitcoin. He's not a dumbass. He put mad work in, way more work in than the dudes that shit on him today have ever done. Like these post-2020 Bitcoiners that are doing work, and I don't want to discount what they're doing or have done, but like to completely like discount Roger Ver as like a major factor in Bitcoin, you just don't know what you're talking about. You just because something happened before you were here doesn't mean it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like you can even talk about like political, like when we talk about politics, like, and you can say somebody like did something, got arrested and did something horrible. And it's like, okay, they did this horrible act and yes, they deserve to be punished for that, but it doesn't change maybe the good things that they did over here while they were legislating that maybe came into law that actually help people's lives. Like it's a good lesson for all of us. Like why judge us by our worst moment and completely discount the good things that we've either done before or will do after? Like that part of society I despise. And social media kind of makes people lock in on that. Like when when somebody gets arrested for doing something awful or doing something really stupid and they just get drugged through the mud, it's like they've never done anything good and they'll never do anything good again. We're only going to know them for this. It's like, I don't buy into that. I'm not a fan of that. Like we've all had, like I've been arrested before in my life, like when I was 19 years old. Like we've all had our moments where we wish we could do something different. But if you're a good human being and you're smart, you use it as a growing stepping stone. Yeah. You don't just be that same person for the rest of your life and continue to commit the same mistakes, right? Mistakes are okay if you learn from them. Mistakes are only bad when you continue to repeat the same things over and over and over and never become a better person. Yeah. So this long rant, I guess, I started in one spot and I ended in another completely different place because that's what I do. Yeah. I just start talking and just verbal diarrhea. Yeah. But like, the point of it, to get back to the main thing of like talking about Bitcoin and who you follow, this is an important time. And this is really the crux of what I'm talking about. Like right now is super important because we're at a very important milestone part of the Bitcoin cycle ecosystem with the halving coming. And like we've been saying this since 15,000, like this is coming, right? We're like warning you and giving you like the play by play, month by month. And it's like the calendar changes in 2 weeks. Right? Mm-hmm. The calendar goes to 2024 in 2 weeks. 2024, 2025 is bull run. That's bull run stuff, right? 2024, 2025 bull run stuff. So we're leaving the 2022 behind, where we lost all the people along the way in Three Arrows Capital and FTX and BlockFi and all that stuff. And then, we bottomed. And then we started to bring ourselves up. We had 150% rise in 2023, which everybody's excited about. But this ain't it, bro.
Yeah.
24
This
and
is
25 is where it's going to be. And if you have not been positioning yourself, if you've not been dollar cost averaging or making your buys, like, you are quickly running out of time to do so. There is going to be a point in time where you're just not, one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to sit this one out or you're going to buy at the very top. And I think there's never a bad time to buy Bitcoin, except if you're not ready for it. If you're not emotionally and psychologically ready, if you buy at the top, it's gonna suck when you buy at the top and then you see it start to come down and you realize, wow, I spent all this money and now I've seen it drop 30, 40, 50, 60%, and you don't understand how these cycles work in the long term.
And especially if you don't understand the cycle, you're gonna be washed out. You know what I mean? You're not gonna understand, okay, this is gonna eventually go back up, but your time's running out. You're gonna have to wait till the next cycle. And the Bitcoin halving, we have the countdown right in front of us, is 116 days, around April 12th. So that's super exciting, super exciting. And to go back to, and what you said was very well said.
Oh, you were talking about stock. You were talking about.
How
did I get there from? Holy Christ!
Well,
right,
basically, if you want to pull up this chart really quick, you can see that we've been printing blue, right? Can you see that, Don?
Yeah, I got it. Yep.
And I made a comment. I'm going to start selling my alts, and this is the Bitcoin market cycle. I'm not planning on selling my Bitcoin, but I'm going to be selling my alts once we start printing 3 to 4 red dots. You know, because the game plan is just to slowly scale out. We could take it off the thing. And here's like some tips for the bull market. I want to give some tips. The market's going to be super euphoric. And if you haven't been around for euphoria phase, it's going to feel like you are a genius. You are the next best thing. You figured it out. And if you're on crypto Twitter, people are going to be flexing their gains. And they're going to make you think you're underperforming. When you're on Twitter and you see someone post a 10x, a 50x, a 100x, or for example, that Bonk, that dude turned $16,000 into $10 million just from buying Bonk a few months ago. And it's going to be like, oh, like it made me feel some type of way. I'm putting all this work in. I'm doing my research, buying fundamentally utility coins. And this dude just put $16K in and just made $10 million. Obviously, you got to have a lot of conviction and you have to have a skill set, which is, controlling your emotions. But it's going to be highly tempting to jump on everything you see. Stick to your convictions, buy the dips on your convictions plays, and just monitor the trend and take profits along the way. Don't get caught up in other people's journey because we're all on our own journey. And that's where I think most people are going to mess up. People say the bull market's so easy. It's not that easy. I think the bear market's easier because all I have to do is just keep working my 9 to 5, grinding, and then just buy. But now that we're in a bull market, now I got to be like, okay, things are going up. I got to catch this before it pumps and then it dumps. Like, especially on some altcoins, they'll have a week where they pump and then they'll dump, and then that's it for the whole bull market. That's if you're in 53 coins. So I got to especially be monitoring my portfolio. But yeah, just focus on your own journey. Don't get caught up in other people's gains because that will get you wrecked, man. That'll get you wrecked. Yeah. So basically, in other terms, don't overcomplicate things. Just play it simple. Like, I have a strategy right now. It's basically do nothing. Until Bitcoin starts breaking all-time high, like we're looking at, you got a few altcoin positions. I'm not doing anything. Once Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, I'm going to slowly start to scale out. And that's not that difficult of a strategy. And then that is like the search history on Google. Is the retail coming back? It's a simple metric where I can see when people Google Bitcoin or altcoins, the interest is still low. So as soon as I start to see that chart top out, and my grandmother's hitting me up, asking me about Bitcoin, my dad, who's a no Bitcoiner, although he got me into Bitcoin, is hitting me up, and I have random people messaging me, that is a top signal, or we're close to the top for the people that are sidelined this whole last 2 years. So,
yeah, I agree. The hardest thing for people to do is to understand that you're not a genius, no matter how much time you put in to studying markets, trading, investing. Like, you're never going to time the top. You're never going to time the bottom. If that's your thing, trading, if you're trying to trade, putting X amount in and trying to get a profit of X out, like, just be okay with whatever that profit is. and it not being a loss.
Yeah.
If that's what that's what you do. Like, I'm not a trader. Like, I'm just not a trader. Like, I've never, anytime I've ever tried to trade, it's never been successful because, and again, this is like Blue Collar Bitcoin on Twitter. He's said this in spaces and great. Like because this is what he does. Like he trades. Like we got to have him on. We talked about this. Like he really knows what time it is when it comes to this stuff. And if this ain't what you do, you're not going to be successful at it. And even the people that try to do that are still not successful. Like it's a skill set. So if you're buying a coin here and there and you're in a profit, like just be okay with taking that profit and recognizing that, you're not going to there's no such thing as get rich quick.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Get rich quick will get you wrecked quick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Play the long game.
Yeah.
People think when they hear crypto, it's just to get rich because everyone just sees other people's gains that they made.
The easiest way to make money in crypto, and it's been since day one, is to buy and hold Bitcoin.
What's that mean? Hodl?
Buy and hold Bitcoin. Easiest way. That guarantees you profit.
Yeah.
Right? If you want a shit coin, if you want to buy all these other coins and you want to try to play the cycles and you want to try to play the charts, like buyer beware. But if you want to just guarantee yourself making, which is what people do when they work a job and they put their money in their 401k or their 401 or 403b or their Roth IRA, like they already do this in TradFi. Like I don't understand why it's such a difficult concept to grasp when people transition into crypto or Bitcoin. Like the easiest thing to do is to take your money, put it in Bitcoin, and treat it the same way you treat your TradFi investment. If you're putting your 401k away for 30 years, you're not going to touch it for 30 years. Do it the same thing with Bitcoin. Because if you do that, you're going to have more money in Bitcoin than you have in your 401k.
I have a question for you. What's the biggest career risk for traditional money managers right now? Do you have any idea?
The biggest career risk?
Yeah, the biggest risk for traditional money managers. It's a chart I'm about to pull up. You follow Raul, Paul?
I do.
What do you think about him?
I mixed feelings on him.
Really?
Mixed feelings. He does provide good information.
I love his.
But he also he's more of an you would like him because he's more ETH centric.
Yeah.
I think he owns more ETH than Bitcoin.
And he got a nice Solana position too.
That question is multifaceted.
Yeah.
Because I think. Because we've already said this, like eventually the old system is going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
So when the old system collapses, that puts the people that are just in one niche of TradFi out of business. So they're going to have to figure out how to adapt to exposure to Bitcoin or crypto in some sort of facet. And the ETFs being approved and being traded are going to be a entry point for them. Mm-hmm. And at least will be a solidification for them to maybe, because here's the thing too, like if you're a money manager, if you're a traditional TradFi money manager and you're a Bitcoiner, like that's a tough double life that you're living because you're selling products in TradFi to your clients that you could potentially feel are not going to be around in 10, 20, 30 years or less. And you're stacking Bitcoin for yourself, but you also, it would be career suicide to say, oh yeah, by the way, let's get you into a position of Bitcoin when Bitcoin could have a 60% drop at any given time. And your client that's not, educated in that will be like, dude, I'm finding another money manager. Yeah. So you know what I mean? So I think having the ETF brought into the market will be a good entry place for these money managers to start, discussing Bitcoin to their clients and saying, hey, there's this ETF now. BlackRock is investing. Fidelity has a fund. Van Eck has a fund. Vanguard has a fund. Let's get you some exposure to that. And then you can open up a conversation to some other stuff, which could potentially open up this new market of being what Defion Labs does, where being like, I'm gonna assist people in setting up these funds for longer term investments, more like you do with your 401k or we do with your investments over here. Let's do a crypto fund. Let's talk about that. Let's start managing that, and then maybe some of these guys can get certified in doing that, and it won't be as gray area as it could be for them to do it just on their own now.
Yeah, because this chart shows you basically that a 200K Bitcoin in 2024 suggests a true and imminent change in the world. And he says zero exposure will pose career risk for traditional money managers, and money in value gets redefined. So if you look at this chart, you can see that it's a total liquidity index because we're looking at the liquidity, and it's basically a logarithmic curve or channel, and it's showing you a target in May 2024 of 200K Bitcoin, 218,000, which would be absolutely insane. I don't know how to think about this. I think some people are either overvaluing the next bull run or undervaluing the next bull run. Because I see targets of 400, 300K, and then I see targets of 125 to 150K. And now obviously time will tell, but it's very interesting to see like these perspectives on like what it could be. In my opinion, I think I might be undervaluing it. I think 150K is a potential top, but I could be completely wrong, which is insane to see.
I think we're going to get a lot of information in the next couple months with the ETF information. I think that is the variable that we don't quite know yet, because there is a potential. We don't want to believe it maybe, or we don't want to acknowledge it. There is a potential that the performances of those ETFs in the early part of funding could be lackluster.
Yeah.
Just because we're being told that everybody is asking, and there's a lot of institutional interest, and there's a lot of clients that want to get exposure and all that. Like, what is that? What does it really translate into? Does it really translate into all these people willing to buy this fund and get this exposure? Like, because there's a lot of pretty big predictions on what it's going to look like when the funds start trading, and what if it doesn't meet that expectation initially, right? I strongly believe that by 2025, when we're in the thick of the actual movements of the bull run, that they'll just be piling in at that point. Yeah. But like, we may see a stutter step, which is why I think that the correction that we're going to get is going to be actually after the money starts flowing in, because I do think there is a potential for a lackluster expectation, only because expectations have been. I think it still might be good, like on a relative like basis, but just because the expectations have been so high of what numbers they've been saying are going to flow in, that when it doesn't meet that, there might be a little bit of a a little bit of a lull. Plus, it'll be like we'll be past the fact of like wondering, because we'll have it, so that excitement will be gone, because now it's like on to the next thing. And then if we don't get the perfect performance that we're looking for, then it's just like, okay, now it's time to like sell off for some profits, because you have your fiat maxis that are just like looking for the money, and they're in it for the money to liquidate positions, sell to the strong hands, which is a good thing long term, because then more of the 70%ers that buy and don't sell will get access, and that is what gives you the parabolic moves, because then you have that number from 70 maybe goes to 75, maybe goes to 80, and then you just don't have Bitcoin moving. And then when the supply and demand economics really kick in and people are demanding it and the supply's not there, that's when you see the parabolic moves. And the other thing about the of the bull market too that people don't realize, when you see that top, like the 69K top and the 64 or whatever it was prior to that, like that represents like something like 2 weeks of the bull market. Like the parabolic moves happen.
Yeah. It's got to be quick.
Super fast.
Yeah. But you're going to be drunk in glasses.
Super fast. So that when you average out like the moves, like those parabolic moves happen in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Like 50 turns to 60, 60 turns to almost 70 in like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So when we see 69K breached, I think, my personal opinion, I could be way off. My personal opinion is we go from 70 to 90 fast. Yeah. And then we stall.
Under like 100K.
I don't think we get 100 right away, because it's like we gotta earn that. Yeah. We gotta really earn it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just gonna be like, all right, new all time high to like six figures. We're gonna get so close, and we're gonna be like, oh, we're almost there. Oh
But
We're almost
we're
there.
definitely breaking through that.
And then I think when we break through 100, we just like we there's a
Like
huge candle in
like
there.
just like
It's a big candle
like
in
a
there.
$20,000 candle.
Something big. We have a big candle in there. I think when we break 6, because you have to remember when you break that 6 figures, you will have news media that don't talk finance, just having conversations about it.
Yeah. And every influencer and artist is going to be creating an
You'll
NFT
have
project.
You'll
That's
have,
one of my predictions.
Well, you'll have
Swift.
content creators that don't talk finance or crypto that will be making videos about it.
Taylor Swift was coming out. Mark my words. Taylor Swift will create an NFT project at the top. That will mark the top when Taylor Swift creates an NFT. But there are two important things I really do want to talk about. For one was the Ledger Live exploit.
Yeah.
And I want to clarify the differences between a hardware wallet and a cold storage wallet because I've actually made a mistake. I've been calling my hardware wallet cold storage, but cold storage is a wallet where you've never interacted with any dApps. Online. Yeah. So just because you have a hardware wallet and a Ledger doesn't mean it's cold storage. It can be cold storage if you don't connect it to like a Uniswap or like any other dApp because we just had an exploit where it was the front end of Ledger Connect Kit where when you connected to certain dApps, certain websites, there would be a pop-up in front of your connection. And I can pull this up in the video, and it would be a fake pop-up, and then you'd connect your MetaMask wallet, and then you would sign a transaction, and it would drain your wallet. It was only live for about 2 hours, they say, but it's super scary. Like, you have to really have really good security measures, and that's why I want to talk about, like, if you're just onboarding into crypto, and you're in Discords, and you're engaging with different, platforms, you have to be extra cautious, because once the price goes up, that's in direct correlation with more scams. The higher the price,
For sure, yeah.
the higher the scams. So you have to be ready for this stuff. So if you go into Discord and anyone DMs you pretending to be support, don't answer. They're trying to scam you. If you're connecting to a dApp, and I also tell people to be on Twitter. Because imagine if you weren't on Twitter and you were just interacting online. Like, the crypto ecosystem caught this very quickly. Like, if we didn't have Twitter, I don't think there would have been, because they only drain like 600,000. I think that would have been 6 million or 60 million. Like, that's why we came together as a collective and we were able to identify this and get the situation fixed. Personally, Ledger has already hit strike 3 for me. There's a lot of issues with Ledger, so I'm going to be looking into alternatives like a Treasure or just, a hot wallet, but never connect it to anything. So if it's your main wallet, like you got a decent amount of chunk of change, I wouldn't be connecting it to dApps. I would make that a cold storage wallet and then have a burner wallet where you trade and then send the assets to the cold storage.
See, this is another segue into the conversation of Bitcoin versus crypto because, at least myself, I never have to worry about any of this stuff ever happening because my Bitcoin has been in a spot that connects to nothing for 6 years. I don't connect it to dApps. I don't connect it to apps. I don't connect it to, I don't even need an internet connection to interact. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, so I don't, I never had a Ledger. So I don't necessarily, cause I've never done it. So I've never looked into it. I don't even understand how I would be connecting it to a Uniswap and doing, cause I don't,
You don't do that.
The only thing I have in self-custody, the only thing I have in self-custody is Bitcoin. I don't self-custody any of the other shit coins. Like the little coins that I have, just keep them on the exchange.
Is it on Gemini?
Yeah, so I just keep them on the exchange. There's no reason for me to. It's not a. Like I told you, this might sound crazy to some people, and I've talked about this before, but like I have 2.38 ETH in the Gemini Earn bankruptcy. Because I was a dumbass and I totally this is just how much I don't value Ethereum. Yeah. Even though it's worth like, at one point it was worth like 10 grand at one point in real value.
Oh yeah.
Because 2 ETH was worth 5,000. It was like at the top. Yeah. And I just had this sitting in Gemini because I'm thinking to myself, I'm not doing anything with this shit. I'm just sitting on Gemini. Oh, they're gonna give me 4%, and I put it in there like a dummy, like my own fault. And I just didn't even. We were having this. We were like collaborating when and I was just like, thank God. When it happened, you were like, whoa, and I'm just like, oh, thank God it wasn't big. I was just like shrugged it off. At the time, it was like $4,000. I was just like, oh, if I never get it back, I never get it back. If it was Bitcoin, if it was $1,000 of Bitcoin, I would have thrown up. It could have been 4 times less in Bitcoin. I would have vomited. But because it was ETH, I'm just like, Now that I don't know if I think I shared it with you. They're getting close to like a resolution to this lawsuit or to this bankruptcy, I guess. I got something in the mail in an email where I was supposed to vote on something. I didn't even. I don't give a shit. And I read an article. It was Cointelegraph that said they're getting close to a resolution. If they do resolve this, somewhere between 61% and 100% is what you can expect to get. When it happened, I'm like, it's gone. I'll never see it. I'll never see nothing. Like a
bonus.
I took that L as like, you're a dummy. You know better. Yeah. Obviously, I don't do anything with my. This is why you don't shit. This is why I don't shitcoin, because I'll mess it up, which I did, right? So like, Gemini sent me a message and said that because the Cointelegraph article said you'll get the value back, so it was very like cryptic in how it was going to be spent or given back. And Gemini said they're going to replace the digital assets. So I'm either going to get 61% of the 2.38 ETH or whatever. They're going to give me ETH back, I'm assuming.
Are they giving you the value?
I mean, I'd like to just give me the full. If they want to give me 61% of that in Bitcoin, I'd take that instead, but I don't think I'm going to be able to.
Are they giving you the value of when it happened?
That's not clear. I think that's why it might be 61%, because at the time of the article, the price was different. Like if they gave me back the 2.38 ETH at that time, it was only worth 4,000, and today the 2.38 ETH is worth maybe 5. I don't know. I'm not sure what their calculations are. Yeah, if they give me $1 back, it's $1 that like I don't even count that in my portfolio. It's gone. It was the day it happened. I'm like, that's lost. That's dumb. Don, you're stupid. Yeah. We're never doing something dumb like that ever again. You can't blame anybody but yourself. Like, don't blame Gemini. Don't blame Genesis. Don't blame Sam Bankman-Fried. You're a dumbass. Mm-hmm. Take the L. Took it. Gone. So if something comes back, dude, that's found money.
That's good.
Spin it into Bitcoin.
You're holding accountability for it.
You have to.
Yeah, most people would be blaming all these third parties, which
I might feel different if it was Bitcoin. I might be looking for somebody to harm, but it wasn't, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, this is another important thing, and this is making me, again, there's two things that make me question my whole thought, like what I've known about crypto. It was the hardware wallet and the cold storage, right? So now we got that clarified. The second thing is, what's freedom money? What's freedom money and what's centralized money? What's a CBDC? And we just got this article come out that Tether has actually onboarded the FBI Secret Service to their platform. So if your crypto can be stopped at the press of a button, it's just a CBDC that requires a phone call from the FBI. So this is like, oh shit, like I thought USDT was centralized or decentralized, and we just had them freeze Tether from that exploit from Ledger Live. So it's like, what is money, man? Like that, it's like if you're not holding Bitcoin, then you really like if you're holding a stable coin like USDC, USDT, those are CBDCs, man. They have to be.
I have been fascinated by Tether's ability to survive
this long,
because in 2017, dude, there was a lot of rumblings that like they were just minting Tether with no dollars to back it. They've never really had real audits, as far as I know. I know that Ben Armstrong, when the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing was going on, he tracked down some office that was supposed to be a Tether headquarters or location, and he was trying to get an interview. And I guess he got denied, and I don't know if that a lot of stuff happened after that he never got around to it. You know, parted ways with BitBoy Crypto or Discover Crypto, whatever. So, but like, there's just always Tether FUD. Mm-hmm. And the whole 27. If you weren't really around after the fact to like listen, but like a lot of people thought. In part of me, like, this is why like 2020 was like my come to Jesus moment for like, this is really here, like I've talked about. But like there was a part of us in Bitcoin that were like, maybe they're right, because they were like the whole run up to 20,000 was because of the Tether printing, because like you print the Tether, buy the Bitcoin, print the Tether. So it's like, is this just another like printing of money scam like the government does? But now we're like, we brought this over into Bitcoin. Yeah, so people were like saying that, and it's like, dude, are they just like you're creating all this Tether that's supposed to be back 1-to-1 by dollars, and we don't know if it is. And I think to this day, nobody truly, maybe some people know, but like the community as a whole doesn't completely know if it's dollar for dollar backed. So I'm personally like very fascinated with the whole tether ability to still be pegged to the dollar how it is and to survive. So there has to be some sort of good faith for this long to continue to survive. But I'm not, it doesn't make me feel good to hear that the FBI or the government is getting involved in all that. And this is also another good segue to reinforce to people that the bill that Elizabeth Warren is trying to
kill crypto.
Yeah. She's trying to what would effectively be a semi-ban of Bitcoin in the United States. And again, I revert you back to China. When people say ban Bitcoin in the United States, look up Bitcoin ban in China. They've tried it multiple times. And they quickly realize, just as the United States will realize, that you cannot ban something that exists on the internet that's decentralized, that's a protocol. Yeah. You can stop on-ramps.
Right.
But those of us that have our Bitcoin in self-custody that we have custody of, you can't take that. Yeah. You can't stop that. Mm-hmm. You can't. There's nothing you can do about that. You can stop me from buying it on Gemini. You can stop me from buying it on Coinbase. You can stop me in New York from buying it.
Right.
Which is even more of like a call to action for people to like get as much as you possibly can if they were to do something like this. But you can't ban it. You can't ban a decentralized protocol.
And another thing to make people feel better is Elizabeth Warren. She's crafted, I don't know the exact number, like 200.
Like 357.
357 bills. Guess how many got passed and went through?
Rhymes with hero.
No, one.
No, zero. She's got none. Zero.
I heard
she's
it was
Ofer. No, she's an Ofer.
So just because she's
BlackRock is that the one. BlackRock is whatever. They've had one not pass. That's the big number to the one. Yeah. She's zero. She's had nothing pass.
So don't let this.
She's
an
absolute waste of space. She is a piece of shit. And I this gets this video like banned or blackmarked. I don't care because I have her notifications on for when she tweets because I respond back because she is the biggest grifting piece of shit in Congress or Senate or wherever she's located at, because her big thing is she's pro-middle class, pro-people, anti-bank. There's nobody that's made more money from the banks than her. She's the biggest grifting piece of shit. If you can't see through that, if you're a Democrat and you like her, you're an idiot. Stop watching us. I don't even care. Don't watch us because you're an idiot. You're low IQ. We ain't going to be able to help you. We're the wrong podcast for you. Not Democrats. But if you think that she's good and you're a Democrat, you're an idiot. Because all the shit that she says is complete and utter nonsense. She doesn't even know what nationality she is, let alone what bills she's passing. She's a complete grifting piece of shit. She's had it out for crypto from day one. Gary Gensler is her plant. He's a piece of shit. He could have really been like... and I tweeted about this too on X. I am going on a rant again. He tweeted, and I tweeted this out, that he could have really taken an opportunity to like solidify a place in history. He was teaching at MIT. He was speaking about Bitcoin in thoughtful, eloquent ways. He could have been on the cusp of something, and he could have really been like one of those dudes in the space. And he decided to sell his soul to that piece of shit Elizabeth Warren, into this corrupt Biden administration, and now he'll go down in history, and it will not look kindly on him because of that. He's completely dragged his feet on the ETFs. It should have been way back in the last cycle. It should have been approved, but we're dragging our feet for this. We're letting BlackRock get in. He's helping out all his buddies so he can get himself a cush job. But Elizabeth Warren is an absolute, utter piece of garbage. The fact that Massachusetts keeps bringing her in, you're a piece of garbage, Massachusetts, for voting her in, because she's an idiot. She's not helping anyone but herself. Her net worth is exploded because of being a congresswoman. She's close to the money printer. That's all she cares about. That's all I'm going to say about her.
Woo! We'll end it off at that. Wow.
Don't trust verify.
Don't trust verify, guys.
He's not wrong.
Hopefully don't get banned.
She's what I call, before you end it, I got to respond, because
yeah.
you know me on the political side of it. She's what we call a shit lib. She just she survived off this this fake loyalty, to the people that are just going to buy everything that she says because they think that she's a Democrat, and she thinks that she's really looking out for the middle class. And I had one question about this, was that let's assume, I don't think it would ever happen because of the legality of it. It would end up in court anyway. But let's assume they did ban it in whatever way they think they could write a law that bans it. There's nothing that stops someone from with the right type of internet connection that doesn't say you're in New York, or that you could go to Canada and buy it in on your. You can manage it. You don't have to physically be in the United States to purchase Bitcoin.
No.
So I mean, ultimately, all they're going to do is just drive people into situations to buy VPNs and all that stuff,
I can still send
so
Bitcoin
they could
to
get
Troy,
it.
and Troy can still send it to me. I can send it from my self-custody to his self-custody, and
Right.
send it back and forth, and there's not a damn thing they can do about it.
It's not something physical that exists in the United States that they can control. It's an international thing.
It's so uncomfortable for these politicians that are so used to controlling everything. It is such an uncomfortable position that Bitcoin and crypto has put them in, that they're throwing everything they possibly can at it. And now you have the people that know money the best. Your Larry Finks, your Paul, the guys that are the money players, the behind the scenes guys that are just like, yo, we can't ignore this anymore. Like, we're going to get in before the ship sinks on the other side. Yeah. And I think some of these politicians are just like stuck. They're stuck in their, like, somebody like Elizabeth Warren is just she's smart enough to ascend to where she's at, but she's just dumb enough to see the writing on the wall, where she just keeps leaning into this terrible narrative because she has enough idiots that are backing her or follow her, that are telling her that this is a good position to take. But history is just going to look terrible on those types of individuals. Like, she's just going to have a bad spot in history, as will Gary Gensler. You're fighting against a current that's you're trying to go the wrong direction in a current that's going against you. Like, you're never gonna. They're not going to win. Like, it's just not going to happen. They can do whatever they want to do with their legislation. Luckily, there's enough people in Congress that are starting to be pro Bitcoin and pro crypto already, so they're fighting against that as well. So
that was good.
We'll see.
You still recording?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think this was a very effective. We got into a little bit of political, but I think being polarizing is good. And like I said, like, if you want to follow us or not follow us, that's fine. We're still gonna keep struggling along. But what we can say is, every Wednesday, if you want to hear us live, like you're going to be watching this, we're going to get this up, a day, 2 days from now. If you want to hear us live and you want to be there at the front end asking us questions about what we say. So let's say they watch our podcast and they don't want to comment because they feel like, they want actual response.
Yeah.
Like, come on every Wednesday at 8 p.m., right? 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Eastern Standard.
Yep.
Come on, Q&A, ask us anything. And even if you disagree with us, like, I want people to be a speaker to actually see their side of things, right? So if you're pro Elizabeth Warren and you don't like what we said, come on, speak to us. We're not going to judge.
I would love to hear that perspective. God, let me tell you, if you're pro Elizabeth Warren, you come on. Whoo! We can light the internet on fire in that one.
Awesome. But yeah, give us a like, comment, subscribe, follow Don at Rinaldi_Don on X. DeFi Poli on X for me. We also have a Defion Labs X channel, and follow us on YouTube. The Don't Trust, Verify.
Don't trust anything. Verify.
Don's feeling some type of way today.